Okay, today we are going to paint in the fish with the warm colors. Once you finish the background with the cool colors, then you're going to start with the warm colors. And we're going to use a little bit of a different technique. We're going to use this kind of dotting technique to give it a little bit of a feeling of scales. I'm not going to necessarily have you rinse out your brush with the water. I'm just going to have you start with one color at a time, kind of dabbing the paint rather than, and I'm not pushing hard. It just creates a little bit of this kind of scale-like texture. Kind of figure out where you think the patches of the fish would be. And then when you're done with one color, you're just going to switch to the different color. You're going to kind of overlap some of those colors. So I'm just using the yellow now. And some of my orange is mixing with it. You can kind of tell I've got a little bit of orange with my yellow. Once I start using the yellow more and more, it'll probably be more of a bright yellow. Maybe you start with your yellow instead, and you'll have a brighter yellow. And then you've got, see now up here at the tail, it's a little bit of a brighter yellow because some of that orange is gone. So I've got this part done, and I'm going to then use my red last. Red is the darkest value, so it will kind of overpower the orange and the yellow. And I'm going to use this sort of smoothing, more of a different, smoother technique to paint these scales. Okay, so I got the fins and the head painted in, and I used more of a smooth brush stroke to get that even because the fins and the head have a little bit of a different texture, so I've got to get that even. And then I'm going to use the last, I've almost got all my yellow used up. I'm kind of just, and it looks really neat when you see those oranges and yellows kind of blended together. I'm just overlapping a little bit here and there just to kind of get that texture of the fish. More of a, not as smooth, but more of a scaly texture. Then I'm going to use the red wherever I don't have any paint left. Kind of dabbing that where I see, and if I leave some of the paper showing, that's okay. It kind of looks interesting with a little bit of the white paper showing. Pay attention to what you're doing, just pay attention to what it's looking like. I'm not just going willy-nilly, I'm kind of looking and seeing where I think I need some red. And then when I'm done with the red, I'm gonna have you guys use white at the very end on some of the water. And we'll have to rinse out our brushes before we use the white. So I've got that pretty much done. That looks pretty good. And then we'll use the white at the very end. Okay, so this one I finished the water too. And then the white is just the little bit of white at the very end. You can add a little bit of kind of some brush strokes in the water to make it look like there's some reflections. Maybe the water's kind of moving around the fish. We will add black next week to outline all of the extra lines that we already did. And then you can dab a little bit of the white, on top of your fish. It'll make a little bit of a lighter color. And then when you're finished with that, just raise your hand and I will come get it from you and put it in the drying rack.